For making my ties for either mask style, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make two rectangles that are 1.5 by 24 inches. And so what I'll do is I will go ahead and use a ruler and draw out with my ruler my straps. So again, I'm going to use my marker board so that I don't get the bleed. And I want my strips that are 24 inches. If you can also, on the KP handout, they say 36. Go ahead and do 36. I found that 36 was really long for me for my ties, but go ahead and do 30. I'm going to do 36 since that's what the handout says, so that's the most continuity. So if that's 36, 2 18s are 36. Lining up my edges here. So what I'm gonna do, because I have my straight edge of my salvage straight edge right here, I'm gonna line it up like so, and then go ahead and use my ruler to mark 1.5 inches, and then draw a line on the fabric. I have it in half like this, so I could just do one line, but I can continue that line if I wanted to open it up and flip it around the straight edge right here. Just continue. So now I'm just going to cut out. You want 2 strips because you'll have one tie for one side and one tie for the other. This is my weft direction, not my salvage. I misspoke. It's a pretty straight line. And then I'll draw and cut my second. Again, I am using a Sharpie so that it's visible on the camera. Use chalk or a pencil, and if your fabric is so busy, if it's a printed fabric, you'll have one side that's lighter than the other, and go ahead and trace it on this side. I like to always cut where my wrist is straight, and I keep my blade on the surface, and that way I'll protect my wrist from carpal tunnel. You don't ever want to cut with the fabric in the air. If you do that, your line will not be straight. See how straight my line is as I cut? It's because I'm cutting with the fabric on the table. One strip and I have 2 strips. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to work with 1 strip for this video, and you'll do the same to both sides. Is essentially what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in on itself halfway and press, and then press it in half again. That's all we're going to do. And then we have a couple different stitch variations that we can do to close the stitch. I'm going to recommend a whip stitch, which will be one of the faster stitches that you can do to close your straps, especially since it's so long. So what I'm going to do, since it's 1 1/2, and if I fold it in half like this, you can absolutely use a ruler and draw your line. So go ahead and find 3/4 of an inch. This might make it easier, especially if you haven't worked a lot with fabric, to find that halfway point. And it doesn't take much more time to do. Just go ahead, use a ruler. I'm using a see-through ruler like this, or just like before, you can go ahead and line up 3/4 of an inch, since half of 1 1/2 inches is 3/4 of an inch. And then just go ahead and draw a line. That way you can fold in both sides to the center line, and it's just a little bit easier to make sure that your strap stays even. Or if you have a see-through ruler, you can line it up along a straight edge at 3/4 of an inch. There you go. And just draw a line like so. And this will just give you a nice guide as far as where to fold the fabric. So it makes it pressing that much easier. So I'll go ahead and fold in one side to that line. Probably easier if I fold in from this side with my iron being right here. Careful, don't get too close to the heat plate. And you just fold, 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 and keep moving your iron. I know I'm off camera, so I'm just going down the whole strip. So I went ahead and pressed it halfway into itself from the edge. And then I'm going to do the same with the other side. Just like before, press it in. Oops. way down. So I have my strip pressed in all the way down. Then one last pressing, I'm just going to simply fold it in half again on itself so that I have the two halves meeting together like so. Start on this end. If you're using 100% cotton woven fabric, like a fat quarter or of a quilting cotton, you'll have the easiest time with this step. If you're using a knit, you're gonna find that it may want to curl on you. And that's why, again, I said, if you're gonna use knit, to have some experience with it, because it can be a little bit more tricky than a woven. Just like so. So I have my whole piece folded again on itself. Before I start stitching, because I have a raw edge right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up just a little bit, and then I'm going to fold it in just a little bit. Maybe 1/4 of an inch should be fine. And then I'm going to close it one more time, finishing that edge. There's no raw edges. And take my embroidery floss and embroidery needle or my sewing needle, and I'm going to start by stitching and having the knot on the inside of this folded piece here. And what I'm going to do is what's called a whip stitch. So I'm just going to be stitching along the end pretty quickly. So bring it through like so. And then I'm going to have diagonal stitches, so I'll bring it down where I want my next stitch. So instead of going up and down right on top, I'm actually going to cross the fabric with my needle, grab the fabric, trying to tuck that little end inside. I know I can do it. I'm making this look a lot harder than it is, but I'm just trying to tuck that end inside so it doesn't stick out. And then I'm going to come up like so. So this stitch crosses over the opening that we have with our press. Just like before, don't pull too tight, don't pull too loose. Pull till the stitch is fully taut, there's no looseness to it, but not so tight that it's creating a pucker in the fabric. And you'll just move down and cross. So you'll always enter the needle from the same side, and then you're creating a diagonal line. And it's just right along the edge of the fabric. Maybe going in about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe going in about an 1/8 of an inch. You can choose. I'd say at least a 1/16 of an inch, or like, if I'm getting my metric, like 2 millimeter. Those of you who are fluent in metric can correct me. Like so. And I'm just going to stitch this way all the way down. So let me go ahead and finish this bit of thread. I'll show you how I knot it, and then I'm going to grab the next bit of thread and just continue this. You see, it's a really quick stitch. It'll look cleaner if you are very even with your stitches, but essentially what we're doing is just keeping the fabric folded so that our ties will fit through our mask. So maybe 1 or 2 stitches more, 1 and 2. And then to knot it, what I'm gonna do is just kind of get my knot right on the inside. I'm just going to grab a little bit of fabric. I'm trying not to go through both, just to keep it on the inside of the fabric. And then just like before, pull your knot through. Pull it through evenly so that both sides of the even tension. There we go. So I have my knot like so, and then I can just go over that knot one more time. I always like to double knot. Good habit. Clip, and then start again. I would again start with your knot on the inside of the fabric. I'm going to go ahead and start here, just so that my stitch doesn't look interrupted. And continue. And then this, you'll find, is the quickest stitch to employ. It's a good one too when we get into felting. If you want to incorporate stitches into your felted hat, it's a good one to clean up an edge of a felted sweater. Like so. All the way down. And then you're just going to do this for the whole thing, and then you have your strap. And then we will go back to the video of inserting your strap and elastic at the very end when both masks. There's video of both masks. Like so. Go ahead, knot it off again the same way. I grabbed a little bit of fabric from the inside, came up through my loop, tied a knot, and then wrapped it around my knot. And then your stitching, when it's finished, just slight. The stitch will be exposed, so you will be seeing it on your mask, so consider what thread color you're using or what floss color you're using for it.